Alright, hello, this is Lucas, back again with another Duel, but this time not a review. I'm planning to treat this more as a analysis. Maybe it's going to be a bit too similar, I'm not so sure yet, but what is different this time around is that I have watched this game, or this replay rather, a couple of times beforehand, before making this video. So maybe I'll have a bit more of an idea of what's going on. So a bit backstory. This is Gibbi play against Carl Waite. Carl Waite, obviously a big name in the Goat format community. And this is an Ironman, four people versus four people, which means that every person plays until we lose. And every person has bet $50 each of this match. So that means $200 per team, resulting in a $400 prize pool. And Carl Waite is teaming up with Chris Flores, Jonathan Labounty, and George Saavedra. Sorry, I probably butchered at least one of those names. And Gibbi is playing by himself only, so he has four lives. So Gibbi going up against this team of absurdly strong names and some of the absolute best players in GOAT format that there is. This is the third round, and Gibbi is right now 2-0, has won two matches against Jonathan LeBounty and George already. Now it's going up against Carl Waite. So we are on the play. Our hand is a bit tricky. We want to set either the Deed War Lady or the Mimic. I would personally hold on to the Wind Blast, not risk that into Breaker. I'm leaning towards the Mimic as it's less reactive than the Deed War Lady. Yeah, Gibby agrees. So I have seen this game, but I have definitely not memorized it or anything. So there's a set monster. We could have tried to run that over, but I think Gibby doesn't feel the need to challenge that set, seeing as we have such a nice wall of if this card is destroyed by battle monsters. Decides to just play it slow. Here comes a spy. It runs over a tomato, so I would assume we're going to grab a Dark Mimic level 1, or rather, that is what we're going to do. It's a bit different to have seen the game beforehand. I'll try to adjust as we go. Okay, so here Gib is going to use the level 1 effect to get the level 3 and attempt to crash it with the Gravekeeper Spy. And here I think Carl intelligently waited with the Dust Shoot until Gibby had committed to using the level 1 effect. Let's say Gibby did have a hand of 5 spell and traps along with a level 3, leaving Gibby with no level 3 in the deck. Then this Dust Shoot would actually help Gibby out. Not that I'm sure that that would matter. I think you'd flip the Dust Shoot either way, but it's definitely interesting. So Carl is going to take away the Night Assailant, seeing as these three monsters are quite replaceable, but the Night Assailant is the one card enabling Wind Blast and future discard, traps, Graceful Charity, card destruction, etc. So Gib is going to attempt to crash the Mimic here, and is going to be successful, resulting in drawing two cards. Draws the Delinquent though, which we're going to fire off now, seeing as there's no Thunder Dragon in Karl's hand, and there are no flips in the graveyard, so Night Assailant is not a good discard. This is a perfect opportunity. The only bad hit would be double flip, out of which one would have to be Night Assailant or a Sinister Serpent. So there's no Night Assailant. We know now that they didn't discard the Night Assailant. So here we have a lot of monsters. I think these are all candidates for what we should set. Gibby is going to set the Mimic level 1, I believe, which I think is correct. The Leader War Lady doesn't want to trade for a spy, so it's doing nothing on this board. The Magician of Faith could get knocked, and frankly, if it doesn't get knocked, then it picks up a Delinquent Duel that might not even do anything next turn. And then there's the Sangan and the Mimic. We're already quite clogged on monsters, so we set the Mimic to try and draw into some faster cards not requiring normal summons. There we go. So we're going to lead with the Thunder Dragon here. And Gibby is going to play the Heavy Storm. Basically trying to just cash in. Gibby is in a very good position here. And in these positions, you have to know when to keep the game slow, as Gibby has done so far, and when to cash in, when to force exchanges of cards to eliminate all your opponent's counterplay. And I think this is a nice moment to go for the Heavy Storm, especially seeing as we have the Wind Blast set. So Carl is going to chain the book here, and at this point, I think we should chain the Phoenix Wing Wind Blast. Apparently we don't, and Carl chains the ring as well. I would assume that Carl simply flipped these two immediately, um, not giving us a chance to respond with the Wind Blast in between. In this case, it doesn't matter, but that's a procedural error. Unfortunately, it does not matter here. So the Wind Blast is going to be used on the set spy. Interesting for Carl to use the ring onto the other spy. I'm not going to talk about that too much, seeing as it is Gibbination's play we're analyzing. So here we know that we just put a Great Gripper spy on top, and Carl does have a light in the dark now. So I think setting the Faith looks very solid here. There's no nobleman to play around, I would assume at least. That one should definitely have been used by now, I feel. Um, because if they set the spy, then we use the Metamorphosis, after flipping the Magician, of course, and we're in a great spot. The problem with summoning a monster is that it is going to run into the Chaos Sorcerer. That is what happens, and it's not a disaster by any means. Forcing exchanges is a good thing, but I think this was a slight error. So, we believe that the set monster is a Gravekeeper Spy, so I think going for the Metamorphosis, st stealing or eating the Chaos Sorcerer, and running over the Spy is a very solid line of play. That's what Gibbi goes for. I agree with this. Bit unfortunate that it's not a spy, it's Magician of Faith, but that doesn't actually matter. Book of Moon isn't that strong. So this time we really think it's spy, and we know that the set card is going to be a book, or well, very likely. But I think we just attack over it. I cannot explain why we summoned this Deed War Lady. That looks very weird to me. So if we were to use the book on the Thousand Eyes, the Deed War Lady can trade with the spy, and thus protect the Thousand Eyes from being run over by the spy. But the spy could potentially get a third spy from the deck to run over the Thousand Eyes. So I'm not quite sure what this is all about. Feels like we're just unnecessarily exposing ourselves to a heavy storm. Oh, sorry, Mirror Force. So the Dekoichi is another surprise. So now we know for sure that the set card is the book. And we know we're holding on to a Grey Crypt Spy, so just pass here. And here we see that there is no third Grey Crypt Spy in the deck, unless Carl was unfortunate enough to top deck a spy. The Revoli, of course, can't attack because the Faucetizer strict. And here Gibby finds the game shot with the book and the Chaos Sorcerer. We're quite sure that it's not a Torrential Tribute or a Mirror Force set, seeing as we know that it has to be Book of Moon. So this is just a clean game shot. We attack with the Thousand Eyes. It's going to connect. If we were to book it, we would have lethal. So now we book our own Thousand Eyes. And we have two lethal threats, and there's only one book to defend Carl. Very nice game shot. Definitely something Gibby is good at. Moving into game 2, we're on the draw. We get hit with the Delinquent Duo. So I would discard the Wind Blast, we have nothing to combo with it. I agree. You could make a case that we should get rid of the Metamorphosis, as it is a bit slower to some degree, seeing as the Wind Blast doesn't require us to normal summon our Serpent, which Meta does, if we assume that this tomato is going to find us a Serpent, but that's a lot of, what do you say, assumptions to make. So here we're going to use the Serpent plus the Meta, the Serpent that we top decked. That was actually a very good top deck, which might just be reason enough to keep the Metamorphosis. But then again, if it would have been a Wind Blast, we would set the tomato, set the Wind Blast. That also wouldn't have been too bad. Yeah, we're into it with the Tsukiomi. We get hit with Kaiku plus BLS. And at this point, there's nothing we can do. Yep, whatever we do, we're dead. So moving into game 3, we're on the play this time around. Our hand is quite awful. I think we just set the ring and pass. Gibby agrees. You could fire off the graceful there, but there's no rush. Maybe this time we should fire off the graceful? I think I would. Gibby decides to play it slow, setting the wind blast. I'm not sure I like that. I think I would have gone for the graceful there. So now then, if we graceful into a flip, that's a really good deal for the Night Assailant. And we find it. So discard Mimic Night Assailant, pick up the Mimic. Use the Thunder Dragon. And at this point, we have a few options. I would probably just cash in the Chaos Sorcerer, but that might be premature. I think that's good enough. Goes for the Wind Blast immediately. I wonder why. I wonder what the Gibby's read is here. Oh, okay. Gibby finds the game shot. My bad. Wow. So we discard the Thunder Dragon. We summon BLS and Chaos Sorcerer. BLS is going to deal 44. Chaos Sorcerer is going to deal 23. Add that up. That's 67, which is going to be lethal damage. Yeah, Gibby is just very good at spotting these game shots. This is very nice. And that's the match. There you go. All right, so Gibby won that one. That was really cool. And this, I love watching these high stakes matches between these really strong players. I think there's a lot to learn from it, and you can't ever really get higher quality play than this, because there frankly are not better players, and there are not higher stakes. So yeah, definitely a fun one. I'm looking forward to see if Gibby can 4-0 these old timers. That would be cool to see. And thank you for watching. And I'm not sure if this was too different from other videos. I think I had expected it to be differentiated a bit more than it turned out to be. But if you have any thoughts, please let me hear them. And I'll catch you next time.